My name is Emma Walsh. I am 27 years old. On our honeymoon, my husband pushed me off a cliff. I survived. For 4 months, the world believed I was dead. Last week, I walked back into my own house and found my husband standing at the altar, marrying my best friend. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and tell me your country in the comments. Now let's begin. I always believed I was lucky. Good family, good life, a future that looked exactly the way futures are supposed to look. When I met Daniel, it felt like the last piece of something falling into place. Kind, attentive, the kind of man who remembered small things, who made you feel like the most important person in whatever room you were standing in. We dated for 14 months. He proposed on an ordinary Tuesday evening in our apartment kitchen. No grand gesture, no audience. Just him and a ring and eyes that looked like he meant it. I said yes before he finished the sentence. The wedding was everything. Flowers, laughter, tears from people who loved us. Daniel looked at me standing at that altar like I was something he had been waiting for his whole life. Maybe that's just what I wanted to see. The honeymoon was in the mountains, Colorado, remote, beautiful, the kind of place where the air feels different and the sky seems closer, and everything ordinary life feels very far away. The first 2 days were good. We hiked, we cooked simple meals, we sat on the porch watching the sun go down behind the peaks. Then something changed. Small at first, Daniel growing quieter, less warm, looking past me when I spoke instead of at me. I told myself, tired, altitude, the stress of the wedding finally releasing. I told myself a lot of things. The third evening, we walked near the ridge above the valley. The view was extraordinary. I moved closer to him, reached for his hand. He pulled it away. I stopped. Is something wrong? No answer. He kept walking. That silence was heavier than anything he could have said. The fourth morning, he was warm again, smiling, touching my arm, asking what I wanted for breakfast. I convinced myself I had imagined it. I was good at convincing myself. Day 5, we climbed higher. The trail was narrow, the wind strong, clouds below us like we were standing above the world. I walked a few steps ahead to look at the view, turned back. Daniel was standing completely still, watching me. The expression on his face, I have never been able to describe it exactly. Not anger, not sadness, nothing. Just absence, like looking at someone and finding nobody home. "Come here," he said, his voice completely calm. Too calm. I walked toward him, step by step, closer to the edge. The wind picked up. Something inside me started screaming. I didn't listen, because he was my husband, because I trusted him, because I never imagined. The push came without warning. One moment, ground beneath my feet. The next, nothing. Sky spinning, wind screaming past my ears. I grabbed for something, found only air. The last thing I saw before the darkness, his face, watching me fall, completely still, completely expressionless. I don't know how long I was unconscious. When I came back, the pain was the first thing. Everywhere. Deep. The kind that takes your breath before you can scream. My leg was wrong. I could feel it without looking. My ribs, every breath like something sharp. My arm twisted at an angle it shouldn't be at. The sky above me was gray. The wind cold. I was alone. I tried to move. My body refused. I lay there on the rocks and thought, this is where I die. I don't know how much time passed. Then, voices. Wait, look down there. Is that a person? Footsteps, fast, getting closer. She's alive, call it in. Hands, careful, warm. Stay with us. I tried. I woke up in a mountain shelter. Wooden walls, a fire, blankets that smelled like wood smoke, a man sitting beside me, Calm face, weathered hands, the particular steadiness of someone who spends time in places where things go wrong. You're safe. I had multiple fractures, a badly broken leg, 2 cracked ribs, a dislocated shoulder. They had found me near the base of the cliff. If they had arrived 20 minutes later, he didn't finish that sentence. He didn't need to. I stayed with the rescue team for 4 months, not because I couldn't leave sooner, because I wasn't ready. Every night I saw it again, his face, that expression, the push. I would wake up in the dark, unable to breathe, asking myself the same question over and over, why? But I already knew the answer was waiting for me at home, and I needed to be strong enough to face it before I went back. 4 months, my bones healed, my strength returned, slowly, painfully, completely. When I finally felt ready, I left without calling anyone. I needed to see it first, whatever it was, before anyone could prepare for my arrival. The drive home took 2 days. I sat in the back of a bus, watching the mountains become hills, become plains, become the city I had grown up in. Everything ordinary, everything unchanged, as if nothing had happened, as if I hadn't fallen off a cliff on my honeymoon, as if someone hadn't put me there. I stood outside my house at 9 in the evening, lights on inside, more lights than usual, music, voices. I pushed the door open. The living room was full of people, flowers, candles, soft music, guests in their best clothes. It took me several seconds to understand what I was looking at. Then I saw Daniel, standing at the front of the room, in a suit, smiling. Beside him, Claire, my best friend, in a white dress. My legs almost gave out. The pain of that moment was worse than the fall. Every single thing worse. Because the fall had been physical. This was everything else. I took 1 step forward. Then, a hand on my arm. I turned. My mother. Her face. Shock, relief, terror, love, all of it at once. Her eyes filling before she could speak. She pulled me out of the room quickly, into the hallway, into the kitchen, away from the music and the candles and the man who had pushed me off a cliff and was now marrying my best friend. "You're alive," she breathed. "Mom." She held my face in her hands like she needed to confirm I was real. "He pushed me," I said. "From the mountain. He pushed me and left me there." Her expression changed. Something settled in it. Something I didn't expect. Not surprise. She said, "I know." I stared at her. "What do you mean you know?" She sat down, looked at her hands, then at me. "After you disappeared, they told everyone it was an accident," she said. "A fall, a tragedy. They were devastated. They performed it perfectly." Performed. But something was wrong. Something was always wrong. The grief was too neat, too organized. They moved too quickly back to normal. She looked up. "One night, I heard them, Daniel and Claire and your stepfather. I wasn't supposed to." My breath stopped. Daniel said slightly. "I placed a took out 3 months before the wedding, the transfer documents already prepared." She looked at me steadily. "They planned it from the beginning. Daniel, Claire, your stepfather, your stepbrother, all of them." I sat with that for a long moment, the music from the living room reaching us faintly. A wedding happening 20 feet away. A wedding that was supposed to happen after I was confirmed dead. "How long have you had the recordings?" 6 weeks. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I was waiting," she said. "I wanted everything airtight. I wanted no escape routes. And then tonight," her voice broke slightly, I thought I was going to have to do it alone. I thought you were gone. I stood up. You're not alone. She looked at me. What are you going to do? I turned toward the living room. End it. I walked back in. The ceremony had just begun, the officiant speaking, guests watching. Then a woman near the back saw me, gasped. The sound rippled, heads turned. The music stopped mid-note. Complete silence. I walked through it, step by step, every step deliberate, until I stood in the center of the room, in front of Daniel, in front of Claire, in front of the guests who had come to celebrate what was supposed to be built on my grave. Daniel's face drained of color. Claire went completely still. My stepfather stepped back. You should have made sure, I said. My voice was calm. That made it worse. Daniel opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I remember everything, I said. The trail, the wind, your hands. Guests stood up, voices starting. She's lying, Daniel said, his voice shaking. Nothing like the calm of the man on that mountain. That calmness was gone. In its place, fear, real fear, the fear of someone who has been caught. My mother stepped forward, connected her phone to the speaker, pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the room. Everything went exactly as planned. Claire's voice. No one will question it. It looked like an accident. My stepfather. Good. The property transfer happens next month. My stepbrother. After that, we're done pretending. The room exploded. Not with music, with voices. Shock, anger, disbelief. Guests turning toward Daniel, toward Claire, toward my stepfather. Daniel stumbled backward. That's fabricated. Nobody was listening anymore. The front door opened. Police officers walked in. My mother had made the call before I arrived. Everything timed, everything prepared. One by one, Daniel, Claire, my stepfather, my stepbrother, handcuffed, led out, past the flowers, past the candles, past the guests who had come to watch a wedding and were watching something else entirely. I stood in the center of the room after they were gone, the silence different now, not the silence of shock, the silence of something finished. My mother stood beside me. We didn't speak for a long time. Then, "It's over," she said. "Yes," I said. "Are you okay?" I thought about it honestly. "Not yet, but I will be." She took my hand, and we stood there together in the room that had been decorated for a celebration built on lies, until the candles burned low and the night went quiet, and it was just us, just the truth, just the beginning of what came after. The trial took 8 months. The recordings, the financial documents, the life insurance policy, the transfer documents, all of it presented, all of it undeniable. Daniel received 22 years, Claire 14. My stepfather and stepbrother received sentences of their own. I sold the house, moved to a different city, started over with the particular clarity of someone who has been to the bottom of a cliff and climbed back up. I don't think about Daniel much anymore. When I do, I think about his face on that mountain, that expressionless watching, and I think he thought he was ending my story. He was wrong. He was just ending his own. If this story gave you strength today, like and subscribe. New story every week. Comment your country below. Share with someone who needs to hear this.